Hello my lovelies, and welcome to Pop Culture for Pen and Paper. One of the ways I like to engage with media is to think about how I could turn what I'm looking at into an RPG. So the goal here is to take works from various pop culture media and convert them into usable settings for role-playing games. For our opening video, we're going to be converting that pastel princess playground that is Etheria of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power. Etheria, a fantasy planet of magic and high technology invaded by the evil Horde.
Who calls us that?
Everybody!
It has many kingdoms, from the temperate realm of Bright Moon, to the boreal land of snows, to the desert reaches of the Crimson Wastes. There's a multitude of people as well, like human people, animal people, and orange soda people. I mean, not elves. There's a wide variety, that's what I'm saying, with people capable of great skill, magic, and technological ability. Now the goal here is to use a system that requires the least amount of work for the game master, so slotability is key. And She-Ra and the Princesses of Power slots very well into the Savage Worlds game system. It's a classless, fast-paced system for high adventure and cinematic fights with flexible power mechanics. The core mechanic is roll a dice representing attributes or skills, plus modifiers, and try to get a target number, usually 4. Higher the better, and try not to get double ones, or very bad things will happen. Next is picking a species. As stated, there are a lot of peoples on Etheria. You can either build a custom species using the rules given, it's a small scale point buy, make the sample species work, or you can use the human base as the default until you need something more specific. This is actually not too far off, as most of the people presented don't seem to function too mechanically different from each other despite appearances. Now you're wondering, but how can I do the fantastical things? In Etheria, extraordinary abilities come in 3 basic varieties: Tech, Sorcery, and Runestone Magic, aka Princess Power. And Savage World Edges provide arcane backgrounds to represent these nicely. The Sorcerers of Mysticor use the magic arcane background, no surprise there. Tech users, especially those who adapt and reverse engineer first one's tech, can cleanly be played by the mad science arcane background. Trick arrows, robots, super weapons, all are cozy in this background. But you want to play a princess because who doesn't want to play a princess?
I'm like the only one who's not a princess.
With that, we are going to need the gifted arcane background. This background usually represents innate abilities that don't fit into the other categories, and since princesses are typically born with a connection to a runestone with more raw power than others, and an instinctive understanding, it seems like a perfect match. Use the standard skill list Sans Faith, as clerics aren't really a thing on Etheria, and no psionics. Then, in the midst of all this, we are going to want to use the Born to be Heroes optional rule because we're on the edge of greatness, turning darkness to light. More on that in a second. Now let's build a starting Adora. Keyword is starting. Adora is a human, so we'll use the human race traits, and I always like to start with hindrances so I know how many points I have to work with. For her, we'll take heroic for obvious reasons, and loyal. She doesn't like to leave anyone behind and is always willing to give people second chances. Last, she'll get driven. She wants to make up for all the damage the Horde has done and her part in it. Adora is well trained by the Horde, resulting in no real weak stats, so her 5 attribute points get spread evenly, netting a d6 in all her stats. Then we take 2 points from the hindrances and raise her agility to d8. She was meant to be a frontline commander, so an above average agility facilitates her dodging and fighting ability, and if you can't hit people with an energy stick, how do you expect to conquer them? From there, her skills focus mostly on physical, fighting, and battle related skills, with the focus skill to work her magic. Then there are the edges. First, using the free edge from being human, we'll acquire the gifted arcane background. And after that, using the other 2 points from hindrances, we'll take the new powers edge. Between gifted and new powers, that's 3 powers our starting Adora gets. The first 2 powers are growth shrink and boost lower trait. Use the first to grant her that She-Ra size and durability, and second to give her that muscly power. Use both at once with multicasting and you get yourself that bright polychromatic transformation sequence. The third power will be burst, for when you feel like sword-slung energy blasts fit the situation. The Born to be Heroes rule allows starting characters to pick one edge, ignoring rank requirements. Apply this rule to powers as well as edges and you get your glimmer teleportation and bow trick arrows at the start. Etheria is a more open setting. As such, there's plenty of room for more stories to be told. It all depends on which time period you choose and where you place it. So, some examples. The Horde invasion is a generational conflict, and they didn't take their territory all at once. Your story could take place before the coming of She-Ra in the early days of the Rebellion or Princess Alliance. They wage war against the Horde's advances, keeping them from taking some of the nations that survived, maybe even independently, until the Horde was defeated later. One campaign could see the characters trying to establish their own kingdom. They discover a much-needed resource or artifact of power, use that to build their own holdings as a refuge for the people they gathered along the way, and leverage that for mutual defense and recognition from the other kingdoms. I did something similar in a campaign I ran. Of course, there's always a reconstruction campaign. The Horde is defeated and the best friend squad heads off into space for a much needed holiday. But despite the happy ending, there is much to clean up, literally and figuratively. Kingdoms need to be rebuilt, and the remaining Horde forces need to be dismantled. There's bound to be Horde holdouts, true believers who see this as their chance to take power for themselves, and the characters are would-be heroes who answer the call of Scorpia and Perfuma to rid the Fright Zone of these rogue elements. And there's more, from Crimson Waste adventures to the guild politics of Mysticor, to playing a Horde campaign if you're feeling nefarious. The first thing you have to consider is, Etheria has need of you.
Will you answer its call?